I'm sitting here. It's my yard, my chair. There's an orange tree over there, still young. And I'm telling you this because I know. I know some of you have walked this same path. My name is Ethan Tanner. I'm 68 years old, and my hands look like a road map of every single job site I ever worked in Hartford, Texas. 15 years laying block under a sun that felt like it could melt the shoes right off your feet. I didn't know what it really meant to be used up until January of 2024. If you're out there, if you've ever given everything you have for the folks you love, you'll understand what's coming. For 15 years, I was a ghost. I worked in Hartford, but I lived in a basement with 9 other guys. I sent every dime back home to Bristol, Alabama. Every single penny went to my wife, Tasha, and my 2 kids, Damien and Kendra. I ate cold soup from a can. I wore the same boots until the steel toes were showing. Why? Because every dollar I didn't spend was a dollar for them. A dollar for our house, our place. 47 Orchard Drive. When you're that far from home, when your back screams every time you stand up, you don't live on food. You live on the dream. I dreamed of that house. I saw it every night on that cot that smelled like diesel and mildew. It wasn't a mansion, just a house, a little driveway, a porch, a kitchen where I could smell Tasha cooking, even from 1,000 miles away. Every Sunday, I'd walk a mile to the payphone. Every Sunday, the same words. Tasha, baby, I'm laying rebar out here and it's for our foundation. Every drop of sweat is another shingle on the roof. And she'd say, "Oh, Ethan, we're doing fine. The house is coming along. The kids miss you. Just be safe." That sweet voice. That was the fuel I ran on. 15 years. Waking up at 4 a.m., hauling cement bags until my shoulders were raw. 15 years of no, I can't. Can't buy a beer. Can't go to a ball game. Can't buy a new shirt. The other guys, they'd say, "Ethan, you're crazy, man. Live a little." I was living. I was building. On Sundays, the other guys slept in. I sat on an overturned bucket and wrote letters, on cheap paper from Mr. Jensen's corner store. I wrote to Tasha about the garden we'd plant. I wrote to Damien, promising we'd build a workbench in the garage. I wrote to Kendra, telling her I'd be home to teach her how to drive. The hardest part? I was happy. I was happy being miserable. Because I knew every day was one day closer. Every wire transfer was another nail in a home I was building with my own body. When I finally got on that bus back to Bristol in January, my heart was hammering. I was 68, but I felt like I was 20 going to pick up my girl for our first date. If you're watching this video, tell me where you're from or what time it is for you. The bus station smelled the same. Old diesel and stale coffee. I grabbed my old canvas duffel bag, the same one I'd left with, and I started walking. The streets in Bristol had changed. New buildings, shiny cars. But I wasn't looking at them. I only had one direction, 47 Orchard Drive. I turned the corner onto Orchard Drive. I was walking slow. I wanted to taste it. I'm home. I'm finally home. I'm going to see my wife. I'm going to see my kids. I had the scene in my head. I'd knock, the door would fly open, Tasha would jump into my arms, the kids, not kids anymore, would be right behind her, laughing. But I stopped. I stopped dead on the sidewalk. Number 47, it was the right address, but it was the wrong house. The little patch of grass I remembered was gone. Now it was all fancy, sculpted bushes and white rocks. There was a new black iron fence. Expensive. In the driveway, where my old truck should have been, sat a shiny black SUV and a little red sports car. I didn't recognize the curtains. They were silk, shining in the sun. I just stood there holding my bag, feeling like a fool. Maybe I got the street wrong? But no. There was Mr. Jensen's store, still on the corner. This was it. Then, the door to the house next door opened. Mr. Sullivan, my old neighbor, he was older, walked with a cane. But it was him. He was sweeping his porch, and he saw me. The broom stopped. His face just fell. The smile he started to give me just died on his lips. "Ethan?" he said. He walked off his porch, slow, tapping his cane on the sidewalk. He wasn't walking to a friend. He was walking to a funeral. "Ethan Tanner. Son, when did you get in?" "Just now, Mr. Sullivan," I said. My voice was tight. Just now. I came to see Tasha, the kids. Are they in there? The house. It looks different." Mr. Sullivan took his hat off. He started turning it in his hands, looking at the brim, looking at the ground, looking anywhere but at me. That's when my blood went cold. "Ethan," he said, his voice low. "Ethan, my boy. Your wife, Tasha, she sold the house. Sold it 3 months ago." The world just tilted. I didn't feel the duffel bag slip from my hand. It hit the sidewalk with a dull thud. "Sold it?" I whispered. It sounded like someone else's voice. "What do you mean, sold it? That's my house, Mr. Sullivan. I paid for that house. 15 years. I paid for it." He looked up, and his eyes were full of pity. I hate pity. "I know, son," he said. "We all knew. We all saw you working yourself to the bone for this place, but she came over, said she needed the money, said you two had drifted apart." He winced. "The house was in her name, Ethan. She said you set it up that way, years ago." I had. I did. I put it in her name. I told her it was safer, that if something happened to me on a job site, she and the kids would be secure. They wouldn't have to wait. They'd be taken care of. "Where is she?" I asked. My throat was sandpaper. "She moved downtown," Mr. Sullivan said, pointing with his chin. "One of those new, fancy apartment buildings. The Ellington. With some new fella. A guy named Donovan." I don't remember walking away from Orchard Drive. I don't remember the miles it took to get downtown. My old bag felt like it was full of bricks. I was just moving. One foot in front of the other. The Ellington. It wasn't an apartment building. It was a palace. Glass doors. A man in a uniform at the desk. Marble floors so shiny you could see your face in them. I must have looked like a ghost. This old man, in work-worn clothes, holding a dirty canvas bag, covered in bus station grime. "Can I help you, sir?" the man at the desk asked. He didn't mean it. His eyes said, "You don't belong here." "I'm here to see Tasha Tanner," I said. "Apartment 1204. Mr. Sullivan had the address. The man looked at a screen. "I'm sorry, there's no Tasha Tanner. There is a Tasha Reed in 1204. Reed. That was her name before we got married." My stomach twisted. Just call up. Tell her Ethan is here." He sighed, picked up the phone, and muttered into it. He listened, then hung up. She said to go on up. The elevator was all mirrors. I watched myself ride up. This old, tired stranger. When the doors opened on the 12th floor, the carpet was so thick my boots sank into it. I found 1204 and I knocked. The footsteps weren't Tasha's. They were heavy, a man's steps. The door opened. He was about 40, soft. He had that little belly that comes from good food and no work. His shirt was bright white, unbuttoned, just enough to show off a thick gold chain. His hands were smooth. Manicure. He looked me up and down. He didn't just look. He inspected me, like I was something he'd found on the bottom of his shoe. "Yeah?" he said. His voice was bored. "I'm looking for Tasha," I said. I tried to stand up straight. "I'm Ethan, her husband." His mouth twisted into a little smile. A smirk. He didn't move. He just leaned on the door frame and yelled over his shoulder. "Tasha, Ethan is here!" And then I saw her. She walked out of the kitchen holding a wine glass. It wasn't my Tasha. My Tasha wore aprons and had her hair pulled back. My Tasha had laugh lines. This woman was thin. Her hair was a bright chemical blonde. She was wearing a silk blouse and pants that looked like they cost more than I made in a month. And her eyes. Her eyes were the worst part. She looked at me, not with love, not with shock, not even with guilt. She looked at me with annoyance, like I was a delivery guy who had the wrong address. "Ethan," she said. Her voice was cold. "You finally made it back." "Finally made it back?" I said. My voice was shaking. Like I was on vacation. "Tasha, what is this? What's going on?" I took a step forward. I still wanted to hug her. After everything, my body still remembered. I wanted to hold my wife. She took a step back. She flinched. Like I was dirty. Like my work-stained hands would leave a mark on her expensive blouse. "We need to talk," I said, my voice cracking. "Mr. Sullivan said, he said you sold the house," she sighed. A deep, impatient sigh. "Ethan, really? You're going to make a scene here? In the hallway?" "Trina, Elias is here," the man with the chain said. "It's Tasha Reed now," she snapped at him. Then she looked back at me. "Fine. Donovan, we'll be in the lobby. Don't let him in." Donovan, that was the name. He gave me that same smirk and stepped back, closing the door until it was just Tasha and me in the hall. "Let's go downstairs," she said. "I don't want you upsetting him." We rode the mirrored elevator down in silence. She stared at the numbers. I stared at her reflection. A total stranger. In the lobby, she didn't sit. She stood by the glass doors, tapping her foot. "I sold the house, Ethan," she said. Just like that. "I sold it." "How?" I choked out. "How could you? Tasha, that was our home, our dream. I spent 15 years, every dollar." "I needed the money," she shrugged. A shrug. She shrugged off 15 years of my life. "Times are hard, Ethan. The kids are grown. Damien's in law school. Kendra's finishing her master's. Things are expensive. You weren't here." "I wasn't here?" I could feel the blood rising in my face. "I wasn't here? I was in Hartford. I was eating canned beans and sleeping on a cot so you could have that house. So the kids could go to college. I was sending you everything." "Yes, you sent money," she said, waving her hand like it was nothing. "But I was here. I was the one raising them. I was the one dealing with everything. I did my time, Ethan." "And the money?" I asked. "The money from my house?" "Our house." She laughed. A short, sharp, ugly sound. "No, Ethan. My house. You said it yourself. You put it in my name. Remember? Just in case, you said. So you'll be safe, you said. Well, I'm safe. But I paid for it," I pleaded. "Every brick, every wire, with my sweat, with my life, Tasha." That's when she stepped closer. The light from the lobby made her face look like a mask. "Let me make this clear for you, Ethan," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper, but it was louder than a scream. "There is no us anymore. You are a squeezed orange. That's what you are." I just stared at her. "We took all the juice," she hissed. "For 15 years, You squeezed yourself dry and sent us the juice. The kids are educated. The house was paid for. And now, you're just the rind. You're the useless, empty rind. And what do we do with the rind, Ethan? She tapped me on the chest with one long, painted fingernail. We throw it in the trash. I couldn't speak. My mouth was open, but nothing came out. We don't need you anymore, she said, smiling. A cold, dead smile. Donovan has his own business. The kids have their careers. You did your job. You were the workhorse. Now you're just old. Donovan came down the elevator. He'd put on a jacket. He walked up and put his arm around Tasha's shoulder, pulling her against his soft belly. "Everything all right here, baby?" he asked, not even looking at me. "Everything's fine," she said, snuggling into him. Ethan was just leaving. She looked at me one last time. "If you need money, ask the kids. Don't come back here. This chapter is closed." The glass doors hissed shut behind them. I watched them walk to the black SUV. He opened the door for her. They drove off, laughing about something. I stood there in the lobby. The man at the desk was staring at me. I turned, pushed the glass door, and walked out. I was no longer Ethan Tanner, the man who built a home for his family. I was just the rind. That night, I slept in a motel by the highway. The sign outside flashed vacancy in red neon all night long. The walls were thin. The mattress smelled like cigarettes. It cost me $60 I didn't have. I lay there, fully clothed, staring at the ceiling. Squeezed orange, useless rind. But the kids wouldn't. They wouldn't be part of this. Tasha, maybe. This Donovan, sure. But not my kids. Not Damien. Not Kendra. I had to talk to Damien. The next morning, I found his name on the directory of a huge glass building downtown. Damien Tanner, esque. An attorney. My son was an attorney. Pride. That was the first thing I felt. A hot, stupid flash of pride. I took the elevator up to the 34th floor. The office was all dark wood and quiet carpet. A receptionist looked at me over her glasses. "Can I help you?" "I'm here to see Damien Tanner," I said. "I'm his father." She looked surprised, but she picked up the phone. "Mr. Tanner, your father is here to see you." A minute later, Damien walked out. He was 35. He was wearing a suit that cost more than my first car. A silk tie. A heavy gold watch. His hair was perfectly cut. He looked like a stranger. "Dad," he said. No emotion, just a word. He didn't move to hug me. He didn't even shake my hand. He just stood there. "This is a surprise. I'm in the middle of a deposition." "Damien, I need to talk to you," I said. "It's your mother." He sighed. That same tired, impatient sigh I'd heard from Tasha. "Look, can this wait? I'm really busy." "She sold the house," I blurted out. "Damien, she sold our house. She's with another man. She told me. She said I was a—" I couldn't say it. Damien's face hardened. He looked around the lobby, worried someone might hear. He grabbed my elbow. His grip was hard. "Not here," he hissed. He pulled me into his office. It was huge. A window looked out over the whole city. He closed the door. "Dad, you can't just show up here like this," he said, fixing his tie. "Like what? Like your father?" My voice was rising. "Damien, she stole my house. The house I built for you. For all of you." "She didn't steal it," Damien said, his voice flat. Legally it was her house. You put it in her name. It was marital property in her name, and she had the right to sell it. What she did was perfectly legal." Legal. The word hit me like a punch. My own son. "Legal," I whispered. I'm not talking about legal. I'm talking about right. I paid for that house. I paid for your school. I paid for the suit you're wearing. And we're grateful, he said, in that same dead voice. You made your sacrifices. We all know the story, Dad. You worked hard. You sent the money. That was your decision. But you weren't here. I wasn't here, I repeated. No, you weren't, he said. Mom was. She was here for every game, every graduation, every time we got sick. She was the one who was here. She has a right to be happy. She has a right to a new life. I sank into one of his expensive leather chairs. I felt sick. My son, I said. I have nowhere to go. I'm in a motel. Can I just stay with you? For a few days? On the couch? Just until I figure this out. Damien didn't even hesitate. He shook his head. No, that's not possible, he said. I have my wife, Marissa, the kids. We have a life. We have our space, our privacy. It just wouldn't work. No room. In a house I probably paid for, there was no room. I see, I said. I stood up. My legs felt weak. I understand. It's better this way, Dad, he said, walking to his desk. He was already looking at his computer. You should talk to Kendra. But honestly, I'd advise you not to make a scene. It's undignified. Undignified. I had given my life and I was being undignified. Where can I find Kendra? I asked. She's at the university, Bristol College. She's teaching, he said, not looking up. Look, I have to get back to this. It was good to see you, Dad. I walked out of that office. I didn't look back. That wasn't my son. That was a lawyer in an expensive suit. Bristol College. It was on the nice side of town. Old brick buildings covered in ivy. I found the English department and asked for Professor Kendra Tanner. I saw her before she saw me. She was 32, my little girl. She was standing in a hallway, talking to some students, laughing. She was beautiful. She was wearing a nice dress and she looked smart. She looked happy. Kendra? I said. She turned. The laughter died on her face. Dad? She said. Shock, but not happy shock. Just shock. Hi, Princess, I said. She ran to me. She hugged me. For a second, just 1 second, it was real. I hugged her back, so tight. Oh, Dad, when did you get in? A couple days ago, I said, my voice thick. Oh, she said, pulling back. The hug was over. She looked around, at her students who were watching. Look, I'm in the middle of office hours. Can you wait? Let's go for coffee. Give me an hour. I waited for an hour. I sat on a bench under a big tree watching the students. Kids, the same age I was when I thought I had the world figured out. Kendra pulled up in a brand new white car, not a cheap one. She rolled down the window. Get in, Dad. Let's talk. We went to a coffee shop. It was fancy. All the coffee had names I couldn't pronounce. She ordered some big, milky caramel thing. Just black coffee for me, I said. It was $5. She sat there, stirring her drink. She wouldn't look at me. Dad, she started. I know. I talked to Damien. And I saw Mom. I know what happened with the house. Kendra, baby, you have to help me, I said. Your mother, this man, Donovan, they've lost their minds. She sold our house. Kendra sighed. That same damned sigh. The Tanner family sigh of annoyance. Dad, we're not kids, she said, her voice sharp. I'm 32. Mom had a right to move on. She couldn't wait for you forever. She was lonely. Wait for me, I said, my voice rising. I was working. For her, for you. That new car you're driving, Kendra. Where do you think that came from? She flinched. She looked down. Mom helped me with the down payment. And Damien, he got some money for his condo. From the sale, I said. It wasn't a question. She sold my house and she bought you off. Don't say that, she snapped. It's not like that. Times have changed, Dad. Everything is expensive. We needed the help. Mom wanted to enjoy her life a little. After all those years. After all those years of what? I slammed my hand on the table. The coffee cups jumped. Of cashing my checks? Of living in a house I was killing myself to pay for? Yes, Dad, we know, she said, her voice getting loud now. You worked. You sacrificed. You're the hero. You're the martyr. We get it. You've been telling us that story our whole lives. Her words cut me. Deeper than Tasha's. Deeper than Damien's. But it's 2024, Dad. Women don't just sit and wait. Mom has a right to be happy. We all do. And what about my rights? I asked. My right to a roof over my head? My right to my family? Don't make drama, Dad, she said. Those words. Drama. My life was drama. I talked to Damien, I said, my voice flat. He said he doesn't have room for me. I looked at her. My last hope. Can I stay with you, Kendra? Just for a little while. I'll sleep on the floor. She looked away. She started fiddling with her phone. Dad, I can't, she whispered. I live in a tiny one-bedroom apartment, and I'm at a point in my life. I need my independence, my privacy. I can't have my father living with me. It's just not possible. She opened her purse, an expensive purse. She pulled out her wallet. She took out a wad of cash, $200, new, crisp bills. She pushed them across the table. Here, she said. This is to help you, to get a room, to get settled, while you decide what to do. Charity, from my daughter, paid for with my money. I looked at the $200. I looked at her. I don't want your money, Kendra, I said. I pushed the bills back. Dad, please, she said, her eyes filling with tears. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of frustration. Just take it. This is the help we can give you. We can't do more. Please, don't make this harder than it already is. For her. She stood up. She grabbed her purse. Take care of yourself, Dad, she said, and she walked out. She left me there, with the $200 on the table. I sat there until my coffee was cold. I finally picked up the money. I paid for the 2 coffees, and I walked out, back to my filthy motel room. I was in that room for 3 days. I didn't leave. I just stared at the cracked ceiling, stared at the flickering TV. I was a ghost. I was the rind. Tasha was right. Damien was right. Kendra was right. I was old. I was useless. I had served my purpose. The world had moved on without me, and I was just an embarrassing memory that had shown up at the door. On the 4th day, my money was almost gone. I had the $200 from Kendra minus the motel bills. I was down to my last few dollars. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, looking at my old duffel bag. That bag. It had been with me for 15 years. It smelled like Hartford, sweat, dust, and diesel. I thought about just leaving it, just walking out with nothing. But I had to pack. I unzipped the main pocket. Old clothes, worn-out work shirts, a pair of jeans, and in the side pocket, a little zipper I hardly ever used. I pulled it. Inside, there was a plastic folder, one of those cheap, yellowed with age folders. I'd forgotten it was even in there. I had saved it. All these years, I had saved it. My hands were shaking. I pulled it out. I opened it, and my heart stopped. Receipts, MoneyGram, Western Union. Hundreds of them. 15 years of wire transfers. Every single one. $500, $1,000, $2,500, and on the memo line, in my own handwriting, on every single one, for house expenses, for 47 Orchard Drive, for house payment. But that wasn't all. At the bottom of the folder, folded into a tiny, fragile square, a piece of paper, a letter. It was my handwriting. From 2009, the paper was tearing at the folds. My dearest Tasha. I found it. The perfect lot. 47 Orchard Drive. It's for us, baby. For our family. Every dollar I send from here on out is for this house. This will be our home. The place we grow old. The Tanner family estate. I sat there on that sagging bed, with the proof trembling in my hands. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't just a workhorse. I had a plan. We had a plan. And I had the receipts. I wasn't a squeezed orange. I was a man who had been robbed. And for the first time in days, I wasn't sad. I was angry. The next morning, I went to see Mr. Sullivan. He was sweeping his porch, just like always. "Mr. Sullivan," I said, my voice different. It wasn't broken anymore. "I need a lawyer, a good one, not one of those expensive downtown types. I need a fighter." He stopped sweeping. He looked at the folder in my hand. He looked at my face, and he smiled, a real smile. "I know a young man," he said. "Marcus Calloway. His office is over on Moore Street. He's Mr. Calloway Sr.'s son. You remember Mr. Calloway? Worked at the mill, went up to Detroit for work?" I remembered. "Does he charge a lot?" "I don't know, son," Mr. Sullivan said. "But he's a good boy. Went to college on scholarships. They say he's one of the few who still believes in justice, not just billable hours." Moore Street was an old part of town. The building was small, brick. The sign was simple. "Marcus Calloway, attorney at law." I walked in. The secretary was a kind-looking older woman. "Can I help you?" she asked. "I need to see the lawyer," I said. "My name is Ethan Tanner." She must have heard the desperation or the anger in my voice. "Let me see if he has a minute." A door opened and he came out. He was young, maybe 38, tall, thin, wearing a simple shirt and a tie but no jacket. He had sharp, intelligent eyes. He didn't look soft, like Donovan. He looked like he worked. "Mr. Tanner," he said, holding out his hand. His handshake was firm. "Come on in." His office was small, books everywhere, a photo of a woman and 2 little kids on his desk, a graduation photo with an older man in overalls on the wall. "Tell me what's going on," he said. He didn't look at a clock. He just pulled out a yellow legal pad and a pen. I told him. I told him everything. The 15 years, the basement in Hartford, the wire transfers, the dream, the return, the new fence, Donovan, Tasha's words. Squeezed orange. I told him about Damien. Perfectly legal. I told him about Kendra. Don't make drama. He listened. He just listened. He didn't interrupt. He just nodded, and his eyes got harder and harder. When I was done, I was shaking. I pushed the plastic folder across his desk. This is all I have," I said. "I don't know if it's anything." Marcus Calloway didn't just look at the folder. He opened it. He treated those receipts like they were treasure. He spread them out on his desk. He read my letter from 2009. He read it twice. He was quiet for a long, long time. Then he leaned back in his chair. "Mr. Tanner," he said, This is very interesting." He leaned forward. "Look, I won't lie to you. This is a bad case. The house was in her name. She had the legal right to sell it. Her lawyer is going to say this. This is all just a family dispute. My heart sank. But, he said, tapping the letter, these documents prove something. They prove intent. In Alabama, we have equitable distribution. Even if the house was in her name, if it was bought with marital funds, you have a right to your share. My share? Your share, Mr. Tanner, which is half of what she sold that house for. I couldn't breathe. Can we do that? We can fight, he said. His voice was hard now. I can't guarantee a win, but we have evidence. These receipts, these are gold. For house expenses. And this letter, the Tanner family estate. This is our case. I looked at the floor. Attorney, I don't have any money. I'm in a motel. My daughter gave me $200. That's all I have. Marcus Calloway was quiet. He reached into his desk drawer. He pulled out a framed photo. It was the same photo from the wall. The young man in the graduation gown and the older man in the overalls. This is my father, he said. Mr. Calloway Sr. He went to Detroit when I was 12, worked in a factory for 8 years, sent home money so I could go to school. He lived in a single room with 5 other men. He ate crackers and water. He put the photo back on his desk. He looked me right in the eye. When I look at your case, Mr. Tanner, I see my father. I see a man who gave everything, and I will not let them treat you like trash. He stood up. I'm taking this case. Pro bono. You don't pay me a dime. My payment will be watching Tasha Tanner's face when she has to write you that check. I started to cry. I couldn't help it. This stranger, this young man, he was the first person who had looked at me like I was a man. Now, he said, all business. This is going to get ugly. She's going to fight. She's going to hire a shark. And your children, they're going to side with her. They already have, I said, wiping my eyes. Then be ready, Marcus said, because we are going to war. I walked out of that office feeling 10 feet tall. I had an ally. I had a warrior. I had hope. Marcus had been very clear. Mr. Tanner, those originals, the receipts, the letter, that's our entire case. Do not let them out of your sight. I'm going to start filing the motions, but I need to get those certified, logged, and copied. Bring them back tomorrow morning. First thing. Until then, guard them with your life. I went back to the motel. I put the plastic folder under the lumpy mattress. I sat on the bed like a guard dog. I even shoved the cheap wooden chair under the doorknob. I was exhausted, but I couldn't sleep. I just kept thinking. We had a case. I must have drifted off. I don't know what time it was. Midnight. 2 a.m. The sound was what woke me. A splintering crash. The door flew open, slamming against the wall, splintering the chair I'd wedged under the knob. 2 men. They were big. They wore hoodies and masks. I didn't even have time to stand up. "Where is it, old man?" one of them yelled. His voice was muffled. "Where's what?" I yelled, scrambling back. He backhanded me. The blow sent me flying off the bed, crashing into the cheap nightstand. The lamp went flying. "Zod the bag! Give us the bag!" They weren't there to rob me. They were there for it. The second man grabbed my old duffel bag from the corner. He ripped it open, dumping my old clothes all over the filthy floor. "It ain't in here." "Check the bed," the first one yelled. He grabbed the mattress and flipped it. The plastic folder skittered across the floor. "There." He snatched it up. He looked inside. He saw the receipts. "Got it." "No," I yelled. I scrambled. I grabbed for his leg. "Please, that's my life." He kicked me, a hard, vicious kick to the ribs. I felt something crack. I curled up, gasping for air. "Tell your lawyer to back off," the man hissed. "This is Donovan's town. You're just a ghost. Should have stayed one." And they were gone. They ran out the open door into the night. I lay there on the floor in the wreckage of my room, surrounded by my old clothes. The door was broken, my ribs were on fire, and the folder was gone. I don't know how long I lay there. An hour. 2. Finally, I pulled myself up. Every breath was agony. I walked, clutching my side, all the way to Marcus's office. I sat on his doorstep until the sun came up. When he arrived, he saw my face, my torn shirt, the way I was holding my side. "Ethan? My God, what happened?" I just looked at him. My voice was dead. "They took it," I whispered. "They came to the room. They took the folder. They took everything." He helped me inside. He got me a coffee. He listened. His face got darker and darker. "Donovan," he said, slamming his fist on his desk. "He's not just slick. He's a thug." He paced the office. "This is bad, Ethan. This is really bad. I filed the suit. But that was our evidence. Without those originals, their lawyer will say we fabricated the copies. He'll say it's just the word of a bitter old man. They just killed our case." I looked at my hands, my old, calloused, empty hands. "So that's it," I said. "He wins. They win. Again." "I don't know," Marcus said. I don't know." We were dead in the water. For 2 weeks I lived in a daze. Marcus found me a room at a local shelter. He was still fighting, filing motions, but we both knew it was hopeless. We had no proof. Tasha's lawyer, a shark in a $5,000 suit, had filed a motion to dismiss. The hearing was in a week. We had nothing to counter with. I was at the shelter, eating a bowl of soup, when the front desk man called my name. "Ethan Tanner? There's a woman here to see you." I went to the lobby. She was in her late 40s, dressed well but not flashy like Tasha. She had tired, angry eyes that had seen a lot. "Are you Ethan Tanner?" she asked. Her voice was sharp. "Yes, ma'am." "My name is Melissa," she said. "I'm Donovan's ex-wife." I just stared at her. "I read about your lawsuit in the paper," she said, holding up a small clipping. "And the one you filed before your evidence was conveniently stolen." "We should go outside," I said. We stood on the sidewalk. It was a cold day. "Donovan is a parasite," she said, her voice shaking with a rage so deep it was almost quiet. "He finds women with assets. He did it to me. I had a business. He helped me. He invested. By the time he was done, I was bankrupt, and he was driving a new car." "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because I've been tracking him," she said. I've been waiting for him to get comfortable, to get sloppy, and he did. With your wife." She reached into her purse. She pulled out a small, slim flash drive. "He thinks he's so smart," she said, "but he still uses the same cloud storage account he set up when we were married, and he never changed the password." My heart started to pound. "What? What is that?" "It's everything," she said, a small, cruel smile playing on her lips. "It's his offshore bank statements from the Caymans. It's the text messages between him and Tasha before she sold the house, planning how to liquidate the asset and deal with the old man if he ever showed up." She pushed the flash drive into my hand. My fingers closed around it. "I don't care about you, Mr. Tanner," she said, looking me right in the eye. "And I don't care about your house. I want him ruined. I want him in court. I want to see him lose everything, just like I did. She turned to walk away. Wait, I said. Why? Why not go to the police? She laughed. The police? For what? A bad breakup? What he does? It's just on the edge of legal. But what he did to you, what he and your wife conspired to do, that's fraud. That's a crime. Thank you, I said. Don't thank me, she said. Just destroy him. I ran. I didn't walk. I ran all the way to Marcus Calloway's office. I burst through the door, past the secretary. Marcus, I yelled. He was on the phone, looking defeated. Ethan, I'm busy. I slammed the flash drive down on his desk. You wanted a case? Merry Christmas. He looked at me. He looked at the drive. He plugged it into his computer. His eyes got wider and wider. A slow smile spread across his face. Oh my God, he whispered. Oh my God, Tasha, you stupid, greedy. He looked at me, and he was the warrior again. This isn't just a civil case anymore, Ethan. This is conspiracy. This is fraud. This is everything. They wanted to dismiss, Marcus said, grabbing his phone. We're not just countering, Ethan. We're countersuing for fraud, conspiracy, and punitive damages. They didn't just kill our case. They just handed us a cannon. The legal battle took 8 months. 8 months of hell. Tasha and Donovan were forced to show up. They couldn't hide. Tasha hired the most expensive lawyer in Bristol, a man with silver hair and a voice like gravel, who looked at me in the courtroom like I was a bug. They came in every day. Tasha dressed in new, expensive outfits. Donovan at her side, wearing that same gold chain, whispering in her ear, smirking at me. Their lawyer tried to paint me as an absentee father, as an irresponsible husband who had abandoned his family. Yes, Your Honor, Tasha said on the stand, dabbing at her eyes with a silk handkerchief. Her voice was full of fake tears. Elias, Ethan, he sent money, but it was child support. It was what he owed. I was a single mother de facto, raising 2 children all by myself. De facto single mother. She said it, while living in a house I was paying for, while spending the money I was sending. Donovan also testified. He was smooth. I bought the property from Ms. Reed, Your Honor. A legal arm's-length transaction. I didn't know anything about any husband. She was a free woman, selling her own property. My own children, Damien and Kendra, never showed. When Marcus subpoenaed them, they both sent affidavits, prepared by their mother's lawyer, I'm sure. Do not wish to participate in family conflicts. Respect their mother's decisions. Cowards. They were cowards. But Marcus was a lion. He waited. He let them build their lies. He let Tasha spin her story. He let Donovan smirk. And then he got up for his cross-examination of Tasha. Miss Reed, he began. You testified that the money Mr. Tanner sent was child support. Is that correct? Yes, she said, dabbing her eyes. For my children. I see, Marcus said. He pulled out a stack of papers, the bank statements. Can you explain, then, why Mr. Tanner continued to send you $1,500 every single month for the 7 years? After your youngest child, Kendra, had already graduated from college? Tasha froze. The handkerchief stopped. Was that postgraduate child support? Marcus asked. Objection, her lawyer yelled. Relevance? It's extremely relevant, Your Honor, Marcus said. It speaks directly to the intent of the funds. The judge nodded. Overruled. Answer the question, Mrs. Reed. I don't recall, Tasha stammered. You don't recall? Marcus said. Let me refresh your memory. Let's talk about the house. You sold it for $340,000, correct? Yes, she said. And what did you do with that money? I paid off some debts. I live on it. Really? Marcus said. He pulled up another document. Because bank records show that 3 days after the sale, you and Mr. Donovan, your partner, wired $150,000 to an account in the Cayman Islands. An account in his name. Was that a debt you were paying? Tasha went white. She looked at her lawyer. She looked at Donovan. Donovan was no longer smirking. And now, Marcus said, his voice quiet, let's talk about these texts from your phone. To Mr. Donovan's phone, a month before you sold the house. He put the text on the overhead screen for the whole court to see. Tasha, he's going to be a problem. What if he shows up? Donovan, just sell it. Liquidate, we move the money. By the time the old man finds out, we'll be set. He's a ghost. He has no rights. Tasha just stared at the screen. She didn't have an answer. A ghost, Marcus said, turning to look at me. No rights. That's what you thought, isn't it? You thought he was just what was the phrase? A squeezed orange. Tasha's lawyer was on his feet, screaming, "Objection! Objection!" But it was too late. Everyone had heard it. The judge, the court reporter, everyone. The next day, Marcus called our witnesses. He'd found them. He called Mr. Jensen, the old man who ran the corner store. He was 80, but his mind was sharp. Yes, sir, Mr. Jensen said, looking at the judge. I remember Tasha. She'd come in every month like clockwork, right after the wire transfer. She'd always say the same thing. Well, Ethan's money for the house just came in. Time to pay the builder. Objection! Tasha's lawyer yelled. Hearsay! It's not hearsay, Your Honor, Marcus argued. It's a statement against interest, and it shows her state of mind. She knew what that money was for. The judge agreed. Overruled. Then he called Ms. Collins, my other neighbor. Oh, absolutely, she said. We all knew. The whole neighborhood knew Ethan was in Hartford, working himself to death for that house. Tasha used to brag about it. My husband, he's so dedicated. He's building us our dream home, brick by brick, from 1,000 miles away. But the final witness was the one that broke them. Marcus had tracked down Mr. Ramirez, the builder, the man who had actually built the house. He was 65, his hands like leather, his face lined from the sun. He walked up to the stand, hat in his hands. Mr. Ramirez, Marcus said, did you build the house at 47 Orchard Drive? Yes, sir, he said. And who paid you? Mrs. Tanner, Tasha. And where did she say the money came from? Tasha's lawyer was on his feet. Objection! Calls for speculation. Your Honor, Marcus said, this goes to the entire heart of the conspiracy. I'll allow it, the judge said. But be careful, Mr. Calloway. Mr. Ramirez, Marcus said, what did Mrs. Tanner tell you? Mr. Ramirez looked at Tasha. She was staring at him, her eyes wide with panic. He turned to me. He nodded. Then he looked at the judge. Your Honor, he said, his voice thick with an accent, but clear as a bell. I build houses. I know what's right. Every month she pay me, and every month she say, my husband's transfer is here. We can buy the lumber. We can keep building. She never said it was her money. She always said it was his sweat. That's what she said. This house is being built with Ethan's sweat. The courtroom was silent. Tasha had her head in her hands. Donovan was staring at the floor, No further questions, Your Honor, Marcus said. September 15th. I'll never forget that date, the day of the ruling. I woke up early. I put on the one suit Marcus had bought for me from a second-hand store. It was clean. It was pressed. Marcus picked me up. He didn't say much. Nervous, Ethan? No, I said. We did what we could. It's in God's hands now. The courtroom was packed. Tasha and Donovan were there. They sat on the other side. They weren't touching. They weren't whispering. Tasha looked old. The expensive clothes didn't hide it. The anger and the hate had worn her down. Donovan just looked small. The gold chain looked like a cheap fake. The judge came in. We all stood. We all sat. He put on his glasses. He looked at the papers. Having analyzed all the evidence presented by both parties, he began. This court rules as follows. My heart was hammering so hard I thought it would break my ribs. It is true that the house was registered in the name of Mrs. Tasha Reed, formerly Tanner. However, he paused. The evidence is overwhelming. Overwhelming. That the funds for the acquisition, construction, and maintenance of said property came exclusively from the plaintiff, Mr. Ethan Tanner. I heard Tasha let out a little gasp. The claim of child support is, frankly, disingenuous and bordering on perjury. The text messages, the bank statements, and the witness testimony paint a very clear picture. This was not just a marital asset. This was a joint family project, funded by one party and liquidated by the other, in what appears to be a clear conspiracy to defraud the plaintiff of his life's work. He took off his glasses. He looked right at Tasha. We are tired that the words squeezed orange were used in this courtroom, and it is the opinion of this court that this is precisely what happened. A man's life, his labor, was squeezed dry, and he was discarded. He put his glasses back on. Therefore, this court resolves that Mr. Ethan Tanner is entitled to 50% of the sold property's value. It is hereby ordered that Mrs. Tasha Reed pay the plaintiff the amount of $170,000 immediately. The gavel cracked. It was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. Marcus put his hand on my shoulder. We did it, Ethan. I just sat there. I couldn't move. Tasha! Tasha was screaming. No, you can't! It's my money! It's my money! Donovan was already walking out of the courtroom. He didn't even look back at her. I walked out of that courthouse. I had won, but I didn't feel like celebrating. I had just won back my own life. It took a few months. The court seized Tasha's accounts. They seized the money from the Cayman account. They seized the SUV. She had to sell the downtown apartment to pay me. I took that money, and I bought a small house. It's on the edge of Bristol. 2 bedrooms, a little kitchen, a backyard. It's not much, but it's mine. Paid for. In my name. The first thing I did, I went to the nursery, and I bought a small young orange tree. I planted it in the middle of the backyard. I stood there looking at it. This orange still has plenty of juice. I heard Tasha and Donovan split up the day the money was seized. Love runs out when the money does, I guess. She tried to come by once. She knocked on my new door. I saw her through the window. She looked haggard, beaten. I didn't answer. I just watched her walk away. 6 months went by. I was living. I got a part-time job at the local hardware store, just to keep busy, to talk to people. I was in my backyard, watering my orange tree. It was starting to get new leaves. I heard a knock, a soft knock. I went to the door. It was Kendra. She looked different. No expensive dress, no fancy hair. She was wearing jeans and a simple t-shirt. She looked thin. She looked like she hadn't slept. The new car was gone. "Dad?" she said. Her voice was small. "Kendra," I said. I didn't invite her in. I just stood in the doorway. I saw your tree," she said, looking past me into the yard. "An orange tree." "That's right," I said. She started to cry. Not the angry, frustrated tears from the coffee shop. Real, broken sobs. "Dad, forgive me," she said. "Please forgive me." The old me, the man who got off the bus, would have pulled her in, would have hugged her, would have told her it was all okay, but I wasn't that man anymore. I walked to one of the plastic chairs I have in the yard. "Sit down, Kendra." She sat. She cried into her hands. I went inside. I got her a glass of water. I sat in the other chair. And I waited. "We were so wrong," she finally said, wiping her face. "Mom." She filled our heads. She convinced us that you were the past, that you were a burden, that we owed you nothing, that we deserved everything. "And what do you think now?" I asked. My voice wasn't hard. It just was. I think we were monsters," she whispered. "You paid for my education. You paid for my car. You paid for my whole life. And when you came back, when you just needed a place to sleep, we gave you 200. We threw you away." I looked at my little orange tree. "You know, Kendra," I said, "your mother was right about one thing. I was a squeezed orange. I was. Because I let myself be squeezed. I squeezed myself. I worked for 15 years and I forgot. I forgot that I was a person too. I thought if I just gave and gave and gave, that you would all love me, that I would earn it." I stood up. I touched one of the new leaves on the tree. "But that's not how it works. You can't just give yourself away until there's nothing left. And I won't let myself be squeezed. Not ever again." "Dad, I lost my job," she said. "The car, it was repossessed. Mom, she can't help. She's working as a cashier." "I see," I said. Can I come home?" she asked. I looked at my daughter, my broken, selfish, beautiful daughter. "I already forgave you, Kendra," I said. "I forgave you the day the judge said I was a man. But home, this isn't what it was. Things can't go back." "I know," she said, nodding. "I know. Can I just visit sometimes?" "You can come visit," I said. "You can come on Sundays. But you're not coming as a child. You're not coming for Dad to fix your problems. You're coming as an adult, as a person, to get to know the man I've become." She nodded. She understood. Now, I live. It's quiet. I work at the hardware store. I come home. I read. I sit in my backyard. Marcus, the lawyer, he's my friend. He's my only family, really. He comes over on Sundays sometimes. We drink coffee. We talk about his kids. We talk about my garden. "You won, Ethan," he told me just last week. We were sitting right here, in these chairs. I looked at the mountains you can just see, over the rooftops. "I didn't win, Marcus," I told him. "I didn't beat Tasha. I didn't beat Donovan." "What did you do then?" he asked. I smiled. "I recovered," I said. "I recovered something I lost a long, long time ago. Something I threw away." "What's that?" "My dignity," I said. "The right to live with my head held high. That's not a victory over anyone else, Marcus. That's a victory over yourself. And it's true. The money. It didn't bring my family back. It didn't erase the 15 years. But it gave me this chair, this yard. This little orange tree, and the knowledge, the certainty, that a man who works, a man who builds, his life has value. You can't let other people decide what you're worth. And you can't let them squeeze you dry. I am Ethan Tanner. I'm 68 years old, and I am not a rind. I am the whole damned tree. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and consider subscribing. You can also drop any comment below, even just one word. Maybe tell me where you're watching from, or what time it is right now. Sometimes one word is enough to say you were here.